Relationships can oftentimes be headaches and a real chore to deal with, but in the long run, positive relationships can be just as important as some of your other basic needs. Studies suggest while many of us focus on our diet and exercise habits, our health is also greatly affected by those around us. Research also suggests that our social networks are affecting our anxiety and happiness. In a study done by Dan Buettner from National Geographic, he studied blue zones, or areas where people tended to live longer. In these areas, he found that people were in more positive relationships. A great example of this is Okinawa, a blue zone. In Okinawa, women on average live to 90, which is the oldest in the world. In Okinawa, citizens are put into close friend groups when they're born, called mawai. These friend groups are made up of 5 people who support each other's health, financials, social interests, and spiritual interests for life. They support each other by giving money to an individual when they lose it, or comforting an individual when they lose a loved one. However, the impacts of these relationships are greatly underestimated. It was found that people that are lonely and lack these relationships lived 8 years less than the average person. It was also found that seniors without close friends had higher chances of contracting chronic diseases, such as diabetes, depression, heart disease, and even having a higher chance of having a stroke. This clearly shows that relationships are necessary for our survival and well-being. But I wanted to prove this further and to find real-life examples of people who've been affected by others or have affected others. To do this, I interviewed a handful of people. One of these people was Tushi, a successful pattern designer from Manhattan. And although he has stated that no one has significantly affected him, besides his son who motivates him every day, he has significantly affected those around him. He has done this by helping them achieve their best and motivating them to be their best. He's done this by taking in recently graduated students and teaching them the ins and outs of the fashion industry. He would then put some of their pieces into magazines, which would help set them up for success. And while I was just talking about Tushi, a mentor of yours may have come to mind with strong feelings with adoration and gratitude. This demonstrates that these relationships aren't only necessary for our survival and well-being, but they help us find deep fulfillment in our lives. However, we all know that not all relationships are positive ones. Negative people can easily affect us. This is called the bystander effect, and many of you have heard of this. This is when someone on the sidelines is watching an event take place, and their decision to get involved is dependent on others around them. For example, if you see a house on fire, you might want to call emergency services, and you probably will. But if no one else around you seems concerned, you might not. This demonstrates that even strangers can affect us. However, examples of social influence can go much darker. In the 1963 Stanley Milgram experiment, it was found that people would intentionally hurt others if asked to by an authority figure. In the experiment, participants were asked to electrocute other people by an authority figure. In the end, it was very hard for these people to resist the order, and the majority of them raised the voltage to a fatal level. This experiment revealed the negative effects that others can inflict on us. And toxic relationships like these can have effects that include extreme stress, anxiety, depression, and overall just a worse mindset. It was also found that these relationships can sometimes be very hard to get rid of because the other person can feel a certain loyalty to the other. It was also found that these crummy relationships are preventing you from making new positive ones. This is because when others see you hang around a negative person, it ruins your credibility as a good one. Now, after you've taken all this in, and now know how important it is to take these negative people out of your life, it's time to get out of these cynical relationships and get into some positive ones. The first thing to do is take these negative people out of your life. Although this may be hard because you feel a certain loyalty to them, this is obviously one of the most important steps. Secondly, you have to go out and be more social, but make sure to stop new relationships if they begin to have a negative effect on you. After that, maintain your positive relationship for the years to come. And in the end, these steps will help you achieve a better mental and physical health, and overall just a better lifestyle. So it's clear that we must invest in our interpersonal relationships. After all, they are the key to our success. Thank you.